Hello everyone. Today I have a question for you on personal income tax. This question will help you practicing the calculation that you need to know for personal income tax. Suppose John is working as consultant for a company. In 2017, he gets income from employment 120,000 baht a month. He has different sources of income. He doesn't have only income from employment. He also receives 200,000 baht as interest from Siam Commercial Bank and 500,000 baht from rent. So he has three sources of income. He has to pay for the provident fund 5% of his salary, and he receives a bonus 200,000 baht in January 2018. He is married and he has two children. He donates 29,000 baht to a temple in Chonburi province. Please calculate the tax liability for 2017. This is the question. Let's see now how to answer this question. How you need to proceed. First, you need to sum up all the different sources of income. Here we have three sources of income. We have income from employment, revenue code 0.1. Then we have income from interest on the bank account, revenue code section 40.4, and then income from rent, section 40.5. So you need to calculate the income from employment after deduction of exemptions and expenses. Then you need to add the income from interest. And then you need to add income from rent after deduction of expenses. In the case of interest, we don't have any expense. When you have income from interest, you don't have to deduct any expense. After calculating the balance, you deduct one-time allowances, then you deduct one-time donation, and you will get the net taxable income. Once you get the net taxable income, you just need to apply the tax rate in order to calculate Mr. John's tax liability. So let's see in detail how this works. First, you need to calculate the income from employment, 1,440,000 baht, because you need to multiply 120,000 baht, which is the monthly salary, times 12. You cannot include the bonus. The bonus is for 2018, so the bonus will be calculated for the tax of 2018. You deduct exemptions, which in this case are the provident fund. For provident fund, you only need to declare the part exceeding 10,000 baht as an exemption. So provident fund must be calculated two times. The part exceeding 10,000 baht will be an exemption. The first 10,000 baht will be calculated later as an allowance. So this is a special rule which applies to provident fund. In this case, the provident fund, the total of provident fund are 72,000 baht, but as an exemption, you only have to deduct 62,000 baht. Then you deduct 100,000 baht as an expense. The rule for expenses is you can deduct 50% of your salary, not exceeding 100,000 baht. In this case, we cannot deduct 50% because 50% exceeds 100,000 baht. Therefore, you will only deduct 100,000 baht. The balance is 1,278,000 baht. Then you need to add the second source of income, which is interest. Income from interest. In this case, it's very easy. You just need to deduct 200,000 baht. You cannot deduct expenses for this category of income. According to the revenue code, there are no expenses. Plus, income from rent. In my example, Mr. John had 500,000 baht from rent. So you need to add 500,000 baht and deduct the expenses. As you know, for the revenue code rules, expenses for rent are 30% of the rental income or the actual expenses. If you can prove that your expenses are higher than 30%, then you can deduct 30%, more than 30%. In my example, there is nothing mentioned about real expenses, so you will deduct 30%. 30% of 500,000 baht is 150,000 baht. Therefore, the balance is 350,000 baht. Now, after we sum up source of income from employment plus interest plus rent, the total balance is 1,828,000 baht. So when you sum up all these three sources of income from Revenue Code section 40.1, 4 and 5. How much are the allowances that you need to deduct? In case of Mr. John, the allowance is 199,000 baht. 10,000 baht from the Provident Fund contribution. You remember, I told you before that for the Provident Fund, you need to calculate the amount of money that you pay for Provident Funds in two blocks. The part exceeding 10,000 baht was calculated before as an exemption. The first 10,000 baht are calculated as an allowance. So we have 10,000 baht Provident Fund plus 60,000 baht as a personal allowance plus 60,000 baht for the spouse. John is married, so he needs to deduct 60,000 baht as a personal allowance for himself, 60,000 baht for his wife, 60,000 baht for children. The allowance you can deduct for one child is 30,000 baht. John has two children, therefore he can deduct 60,000 baht. And then for the Social Security, you can deduct 9,000 baht. Why? Because each employee in Thailand must contribute 5% of their salary for Social Security. However, the annual contribution cannot exceed 9,000 baht, which means per month you cannot pay more than 750,000 baht. Per year you cannot pay more than 9,000 baht. In this case, John will deduct 9,000 baht for the Social Security. Altogether is 199,000 baht. The balance is 1,629,000 baht after you deduct the allowances. Do we have any donation? Yes, we have 29,000 baht as a donation, so you can deduct the real amount of money that you donate to temples, charitable organizations, but this amount of money cannot exceed 10% of your balance. So after you deduct the allowance, you need to calculate how much is the balance, and then you deduct donations. The amount of money that you deduct for donations cannot exceed 10% of your balance. In this case, we don't have any problem because the donation is only 29,000 baht. So you deduct this amount of money and you will have, as a result, 1,600,000 baht as net taxable income. How much is tax liability for Mr. John? Well, the calculation here is very easy. You just need to apply the tax rate under the Revenue Code. Thailand uses progressive tax rate. So for the first amount of money between 0 and 150,000 baht, you don't have to pay anything. The second amount between 150 and 300,000 baht, you have to pay 5%, which in our example is 7,500. Then you need to add with the other rates, which are 10, 15, 20, and 25. So you need to sum up 7,500 plus 20 plus 37,500 plus 50,000 baht plus 150,000 baht. Altogether gives you the tax liability of Mr. John 265,000 baht. Obviously, at the end, you need to calculate 25% of 600,000 baht because the income of Mr. John is 1,600,000 baht. which means that the last part of his income will be 600,000 baht, you calculate 25% of 600,000 baht, which is 150,000 baht. Then you sum up everything, the previous rates that you apply, altogether the tax liability of Mr. John will be 265,000 baht. Now, I have another question for you. Should John declare 200,000 baht interest from Siam Commercial Bank in the Pongodo form, the form that it is used in Thailand for paying taxes, or should John pay the withholding tax? As a matter of fact, in Thailand, you may decide to pay a withholding tax of 15% on the interest, and then you don't have to include the source of income you get from the bank in the Pongodo form. You can choose. Do you prefer to pay only the withholding tax, or you want to declare the interest that you got from the bank account in the Pongodo form? In this case, withholding tax is better, because if John decides to declare all his sources of income in the Pongodo, he needs to include employment, interest, and rent. It means altogether he has to pay 265,000 baht. However, if he decides to pay taxes into two times, employment and rent in the Pongodo, interest rate in the withholding tax, altogether he will have to pay 215,000 baht plus 30,000 baht. Altogether he has to pay 245,000 baht, which is lower than 265,000 baht. This is why it is better if John pays taxes twice. One time in the Pongodo for employment and rent, and then for interest it would be better for John to pay withholding tax 15% of 200,000 baht, which means 30,000 baht. In this way, the total tax liability will be lower. How do you calculate 215,000 baht? Here the calculation. You just need to include source of income from employment, revenue code section 40.1 with section 40.5 rent. You just need to include these two types of income. You don't have to include interest, because you already pay tax on the interest at the bank as a withholding tax. So altogether the tax liability will be, if you follow the calculation, 215,000 baht. Thank you for watching.